Hello everybody, and thank you again for joining me on this channel. I love discovering about Singapore culture with you. If you have not met me before, or you've not been on this channel before, my name is Jonty. I was born here in Singapore. I feel very patriotic. Yet I don't know everything about this nation that I would like to, and I'm learning about my country of birth. Sometimes through this channel, sometimes through other areas as well. But I love it if you would get involved in the conversation in the comments below at any point throughout this video, and if you hear me say something that piques your interest and you want to get involved, please do. Well, today I decided I would wear my red and white jacket, partly because the aircon in this room that's been keeping my musical instruments safe is feeling particularly cold, possibly because it's been raining a little bit lately too. Actually, on the note of my musical instruments, I recently released a single, and if you're into good music, or at least I think it's good music, please go and check it out. My name is Jonty Tan. You can search me on wherever you get your music, and the most recent song that I've released is called The Night Bus Home, and I hope you enjoy it. But today I wanted to have a little conversation with you about something that has been on my mind actually an awful lot, and I am hoping that you can get involved and share with me some of your thoughts, maybe some of your historical facts that I might not be aware of, although I have done a fair amount of reading on this one. But here's my question: what is with the rivalry between Singapore and Malaysia, and is it necessary? Now, having grown up in the UK, I know that England for some reason has a lot of local rivalries. For example, France. I actually love France. I've got some wonderful French friends. If you're watching, salut, ça va? Oh, that was French. But the English would say that France is beautiful. The only problem with France is the French. So there's a nice close rivalry that's happening there. England also loves to pick on its neighbours, Wales and Scotland in particular. It occasionally would call one or the other England as well, and that it's just a part of England, and that would really upset the Welsh or the Scottish. And there's a whole heap of different jokes that I grew up listening to or hearing all around my school friends that was all about an Englishman, an Irishman and a Scotsman, and it would basically end up being a mean joke about Irish people, largely saying how they're not very bright, but that's not true either. So this rivalry, the Singapore-Malaysia rivalry, could just be a local rivalry because we are very, very close neighbours, and I'm happy to believe that, but I also hear so many different things. I've got this friend called Delilah who I work with. Delilah's awesome. She is a Malaysian and she is very passionate about her country. As you would guess by my National Day outfit that I have been looking for. They don't make these anymore. I've been looking for these, so I was really glad to be able to find one this year. It's geeky, I know, but I'm passionate about celebrating National Day. We're both passionate and we love to talk about our countries, and we love to have a little joke about our countries as well. She'll tell me why Malaysia's better and I'll tell her why Singapore is better. But the truth is, I don't think there's any comparison. Now, I'm not saying that because I think Singapore is just so much better, why are we even bothering comparing? And I'm not saying it because Malaysia's just so much better than Singapore, why am I even bothering comparing? No, I am saying that for reasons that I will come to in a little while. But for those of you who are not familiar with the Singapore-Malaysia competition, let me see if I can share with you some things that we compete about and maybe argue about. One of them, and probably the main one, is the food. Now, interestingly, on speaking to a number of Singaporeans about this, Singaporeans regularly say that Malaysian food is better, although there are certain arguments around certain dishes. For me, personally, there are certain things that I just prefer the Singapore version to. I'm going to tell you about those so you can tell me what you think. I have tried Malaysian char kway teow, and I prefer the Singaporean char kway teow. Now, I think the Malaysian one's very tasty, but I think the whole dish tastes nice and it's full of flavour. But the Singaporean one each mouthful tastes different. I feel like the Malaysian one, all the ingredients taste all the same in one go. Tasty, but all the same in one go. And the Singaporean one, each mouthful you get something else and it tastes different, and all the flavours pop all over your mouth, and it's amazing. So I love the Singaporean char kway teow more than the Malaysian char kway teow. Also, I much prefer the Nonya Laksa that we have here in Singapore. Now, I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but there are different laksas that come from different regions, and I've tried quite a few. I had laksa Johor, made by a friend of ours here in Singapore. I've had laksa Kedah, I've had laksa Sabah, and I have had one other, I couldn't tell you what it was, I've forgotten. So I've had 4 different Malaysian laksas, and I have to admit, none of them are as good as, in my opinion, as our Nonya Laksa that we get here in Singapore. I really enjoy some of the Katong Laksas, but actually my favourite one at the moment, I'm very fortunate, it's just down the road here in Hougang, and I really love it. It makes me feel amazing when I get to eat it. So Laksa I think is better. Our char kway teow is better. Now, those of you who don't know, my auntie is Mrs. Kway. She is the brains and the heart and the recipes behind that wonderful, beautiful franchise. If you haven't eaten Mrs. Kway, this isn't sponsored, she doesn't know I'm talking about it, but you should go and check it out. I actually just tried this week her collaboration with Shake Shack. At the One Fullerton Shake Shack. She's got a pineapple tart blended shake. It's just incredible. You should go and check it out. But I would say our local kueh here in Singapore is better than the kueh in Malaysia. Now, Delilah, who I just told you about, she would completely deny this. She thinks that she's going to get some brought over on a Lala move, and we're going to compare them, and we're going to win. But so there is a bit of competition, and I do feel the competition. Okay, I got it. I just heard it in myself. The other one that I would say Malaysia has an edge to, sorry everybody, is chicken rice. Now, I've tried quite a lot of chicken rice across Malaysia, and there are a couple in Singapore that I think definitely compete, but I think largely Malaysia's ones are better. Now, my dad, if you follow our food channel, Wanderlust Food, or you have checked out our main channel, Wanderlust, we have definitely talked about my dad a few times on there with regards to his love for chicken rice and his not being able to find his childhood chicken rice in Singapore. Now, we often blame the HPB, the Health Promotion Board, which has put regulations on how much fat you can put in something, for example, or salts or whatever it might be. And so things in Singapore may be healthier, but we think maybe the flavour has reduced as a result over the years. And so you go to Malaysia where there are less restrictions on healthy food, and the flavours of the food is amazing. I mean, we were in Malacca and we tried some chicken rice over there, and it was insane. It was so good. So I can see that there are some comparisons like this, and so I know I mentioned that there is no comparison, and here I have gone ahead to make some comparisons, and that seems like a contradiction in terms, but there is a reason why I think there is no comparison really. And that is because I think the two nations, Singapore and Malaysia, are just so contrasting in the way that they are, the way that they operate and what they offer. It would be really difficult, I would say, to be able to compare the nature side of Singapore with the nature side of Malaysia. Now, I am a huge advocate for Singapore nature, and if you want to have a discussion about it, write down below and I can tell you about why our nature is incredible. And actually, I have a friend who went to Borneo with her dad. She's an American. Took her dad to Borneo and spent a week there looking for nature and wildlife, and she came here to Singapore, and in one afternoon, a walk around one of my favourite nature parks, she saw lizards, snakes, monkeys, fish, all sorts of stuff, and it was just terrapins, and it was just beautiful, and she really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that she did. And she said that she saw more in one nature park in Singapore than she did in a week in Borneo, and that's pretty impressive. But there are some just staggeringly beautiful views and natural wonders that I would say are in Malaysia that we just don't have on this tiny little island. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. One of them for me is beautiful waterfalls. Now in Langkawi we went to a beautiful waterfall, an area that's called Seven Sisters, and then a waterfall over there. We just loved it. It was absolutely beautiful. I went and spent some time on Tioman Island with a friend of mine recently, and we just relaxed. The beach there is just stunning, beautiful clear waters, and the sand was beautiful, and the nature, because behind us there was this huge hill with rainforests on it, and it was remote and it was gorgeous. We don't have that here. I would say that our closest thing we have to it here in Singapore is probably our southern islands. I really love Lazarus Island, I love Kusu Island, but they've got a different charm about them. I think the charm of our islands here in Singapore is that they are such a contrast to the main city, which is taking over an increasing amount of our main island here of Singapore. I would say that Singapore's nature, the things that I love about it are the things that it surprises me that is here. I love that our tourism board bigs up Marina Bay Sands and the Malayan and all these different things like the zoos and Universal, because I mean, it's a tourism board, we've got to make money, right? And to walk around one of our rainforests is free. And so I think our rainforests are surprising, and they are just beautiful, and they're safer. Yes, they've got little boardwalks. That means that we're not trampling on the ground that are inhabited by the animals, but we don't have those rainforest jungle rambles and walks. Now, they have those in Malaysia. We've spent some time in Borneo. I say Malaysia is a much more varied country as well. Singapore, we're tiny. We got 5.5, nearly 6 million people living on this tiny little island. We're densely populated. We don't have the quiet nature space, but we have got just the incredible city. I recently had the absolute honour and privilege of showing a friend around our beautiful city, and honestly the way that they were in awe of the CBD of Marina Bay and then into the Gardens by the Bay was just so good for me to be able to appreciate this nation through somebody else's eyes. I'd encourage you to do it yourself because they've never been here before. That friend of mine was born here 47 years ago but left when he was 3 months, and so didn't get the opportunity to experience it. And there he and his nearly 20-year-old son were walking around the Gardens by the Bay and the super trees, and they were just looking up and in absolute awe of that place and the way that it's been built. Now, I think Singapore is incredibly unique for those things. It's absolutely beautiful. They were in awe of the structure of Marina Bay Sands, and I just realised how much I take it for granted. And so these things are absolutely beautiful, yet we do not have some of the things that are over in Malaysia, like the vast nature, the views that you can get over there. Like I said, Malaysia is vast. We have Western Malaysia, which is the one closest to us. I haven't explored heaps of it. I've been to Tioman, I've been to Langkawi, I've been to Malacca, and I've been to Johor Bahru, and then I've been over to the Sabah side. Climbing Mount Kinabalu is just a beautiful thing to do, and it really doesn't have the how do I put it? It doesn't have the charm of Bukit Timah, although I love Bukit Timah too, and it has its own little charm, but it's just completely different. The experiences are different, and so as much as I will continue to fight for Singapore and probably compete, I think the point I'm making is that there is no real comparison, is there? There are two completely different beasts, two different countries, two beautiful countries that need to be appreciated in their own way. And maybe we can, just like me and my friend Delilah, we joke about it, but we're great friends, and I've got some other very good Malaysian friends who I love dearly and will continue to love dearly, even though Singapore's a better place. No, I just did it again. I'm just joking. I'm just joking with you. But I just thought I had to. Let me see. I wrote a couple of things down. I wonder if I finished it all. I don't think it's a comparison, not because one is so much better than the other, but because they're so different. That's the main thing. Those are the tensions that I have seen, the observations that I've made, and that's what I think. But maybe you can tell me what you think too, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see you in the next video as well. Oh, I would love it if you would subscribe, if you like the video. It helps it go a long way. I don't know if you noticed on our Wanderlust channel, but Millie has recently handed in her notice at school, and she is now going full-time content creation, and she's going to be helping me look after this channel too. So we'd appreciate all your support and your interaction on this video for my own self-discovery of this beautiful country that I get to call home. Majula, Singapura. See you next time. Bye bye.